Hello and welcome back. I'm going to start with my acquisitions from the Johns Hopkins University Library, and once again I was able to get a couple of films from the McNaughton Popular Viewing Collection. First up is A Single Man. I haven't watched this yet, and I have to say I'm a little bit apprehensive. It just doesn't quite seem like the kind of thing that would gel into a good film. But it has a credible cast. It has Julianne Moore and Colin Firth, and it's based on a novel by Christopher Isherwood. I haven't read that particular novel, but he's written some other books I really liked, so I figured I might as well give it a try. And next is Greenberg. This one too I have my doubts about. It's directed by Noah Baumbach, who did The Squid and the Whale, which everyone acted like was the greatest film ever made, and I absolutely hated it. And he also did Margot at the Wedding, which I didn't hate, I think, as much as everybody else did, but I wasn't crazy about it. His first film, on the other hand, I really liked. It was called Kicking and Screaming, and that's not to be confused with the Will Ferrell film Kicking and Screaming. This one was made in 1995, and it was sort of similar to the films of Whit Stillman or some of Richard Linklater's films, like Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. So I liked that one a lot, and this one was here, it was free, and it's supposed to be good. It sounded a little different from his other works, so we'll see. And now these are from the main collection of Johns Hopkins. First up is Tarkovsky's Stalker, which, as you can see, is quite massive. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. I watched this yesterday, and it has a reputation for being very slow and very difficult, and I would say it pretty much lived up to that. But it's also just a really great film to watch. The photography is gorgeous, and it poses a lot of provocative questions, far more than it answers, but I found it very rewarding. If you go in looking for an actual plot with rising action, climax, resolution, you're going to be very disappointed. But if you're in for a sort of cinematic adventure, I would highly recommend it. And just FYI, this is the VHS edition. I'm not sure what the copy on the back of the DVD edition says, but this compares it to Eraserhead and Blade Runner. And it really, I found it to be nothing like either one of those films. I thought it was a lot better, actually. But just be forewarned. Next is The 49th Parallel. I have no idea why it took me so long to see this film. It's from the directing screenwriting team of Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, whose work I really enjoy. They did, among many other films, The Red Shoes, Peeping Tom, I Know Where I'm Going, etc., etc. Just a great team. Pretty much any film they did is worth watching. And it was also, it's been released in the Criterion Collection, and I tend to be a little bit of a tool of the Criterion Collection. I'm sort of trying to see them all. And it's also a contemporaneous World War II film. They shot it as a bit of a propaganda piece to try to get the US to stop being neutral and to come in. It's just a really enjoyable film. I highly recommend it. I don't know why it took me this long to see it, and don't let it take you this long to see it. Next is The Sheltering Sky, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, and based on the novel by Paul Bowles, which I have not yet read, but after seeing this, made me really want to move it higher on my list. This one, I do know why it took me so long to see it. It's because I have seen many films by Bernardo Bertolucci, and I really just don't like his films in general. He did one called Little Buddha, which I actually liked, which isn't particularly highly acclaimed. And I thought The Last Emperor was all right, and I should probably see Last Tango in Paris again, and The Conformist, and maybe I was just in a bad mood when I saw them, I don't know. But this one I really, really liked. It's easily the best Bertolucci I've seen, and besides that, just a really good film. Very depressing and a bit slow-moving, but a good film. Next is, sorry, this has no cover to speak of, Madame de, also known as The Earrings of Madame de. This was directed by Max Ophüls, who did many highly acclaimed films. including The Reckless Moment, which I have not seen, but which was the inspiration for the Tilda Swinton film, The Deep End. And he did Lola Montez, and my two favorites, Le Plaisir and La Ronde. Also, he's not to be confused with Marcelo Cruz, who is a documentarian who directed, among other things, The Sorrow and the Pity. I really liked this one. It's the story of a countess who pawns the earrings her husband gave her to pay her debts, and about all the fallout from that one gesture and the deceptions that arise from it. I didn't like it quite as much as Le Plaisir or La Ronde, but I definitely liked it. Next is one I have not seen yet, The Heartbreak Kid. Actually, this is a bit of a second chancer for me. I checked it out several years ago and didn't really give it much of a chance. I don't remember particularly what turned me off, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, and I decided to give it another shot. And just for your information, this is the one from the 1970s. I believe it was remade by the Farrelly brothers as well. And last from Hopkins, my obligatory Pasolini. This one is Love Meetings, and it's a documentary in which Pasolini takes to the streets to ask the various people he meets about their opinions on various sexual matters. And it also features interviews with Alberto Moravia. And next, from University of Baltimore, I got Downfall. This is a very long, 2.5-hour plus film about the last days of Adolf Hitler. And I thought it was very good. You sort of have to get past seeing Bruno Ganz playing Adolf Hitler, because he played the angel in Wings of Desire and Far Away So Close, and also the well-meaning shopkeeper, I believe, in Bread and Tulips. But I thought it was very well done. I would recommend it. And from Stevenson University, I got Michelangelo Antonioni's Red Desert. This one is another second chancer. I checked it out a couple years ago, got maybe halfway through, and just sort of gave up. I'm not sure why I gave up on this particular one, because I tend to really like Antonioni. He did one of my all-time favorite films, which is La Notte, and I also really liked The Passenger, and those are my two favorites, but he's done some others I really liked as well. So I read a reappraisal of this in the Brooklyn Rail, and Criterion just released it, and I figured it was time to give it another shot. And now these are from the Enoch Pratt Sights and Sounds collection. First is La Grande Bouffe, directed by, sorry I forgot his first name, by Marco Ferreri. I had seen one of Ferreri's films before called Dillinger is Dead, and I quite liked that one. It took me a while to get into it, but it reminded me a little bit of Godard's Pierrot le Fou, which is one of my favorite Godard films. This one, I would say, is kind of reminiscent of Federico Fellini. It's about 4 friends who take to the countryside to have an enormous feast, and they wind up inviting a bunch of prostitutes to come stay with them, and also the local school teacher. And there's a reason they're all out there, which basically all the summaries of this film will probably give away. On the back of this, it gives it away, but I don't want to give it away for you. I found it really enjoyable. It's not for the squeamish, it's pretty raunchy, but I thought it was a lot of fun. Next is Taboo. This was directed by the great F.W. Murnau, and it's a silent film, and I wanted to see it because in a great novel I read called Last Chance by Fiona Mazel, she name-checks this. And I enjoyed it. It's a fiction film, but it has definite ethnographic aspirations, and it's definitely interesting as a product of its time. Then another Pasolini, The Gospel According to St. Matthew. And last but not least, my Masterpiece Theater selection of the week, The Young Visitors. And if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join me for my next video.